Irene Sue, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
Robertson, thanking you for joining us this week on TV Confidential, a radio talk show about television that's taken a few days off, but we'll be back next week with a brand new edition of our program. Tony Figueroa and Donna Allen are with us for another edition of This Week in TV History. Tony's segment, as always, brought to us by our friends at Story Salon, Southern California's longest-running, regularly performing live storytelling ensemble. StorySalon.com, Facebook.com/Story Salon. This particular edition of This Week in TV History originally aired in September 2015, and as we have been doing over the past few weeks, we're taking a look at certain iconic series that made their network TV debut in the fall of 1965.
September 17th, 1965, Wild Wild West.
Now, this was a bizarro show. It was James Bond meets John Wayne or Matt Dillon, but you would have all these phantasmagorical elements of the 1960s. You'd have technology, you'd have space-age technology and gadgetry in 1875 Old West. It wasn't supposed to make sense, and that was the fun of it.
It was wonderful.
Kind of like what the Avengers were doing.
Yeah.
And this was a time period, because we're going to get to it eventually, the 60s Cold War spy thriller, James Bond especially, was, imitated constantly. The Avengers had it. Here we just set it in the Old West. And I mean, they made it work.
They made it work. It preceded Batman by about 3 months, because Batman was a mid-season replacement. But you had the same sort of colorful villains that you did. I mean, you had Victor Buono as Count Manzeppi.
Who would be King Tut on Batman.
You had Michael Dunn as Miguelito Loveless.
Yeah.
Also Mr. Big on Smart.
Get Smart, yeah, but that would be another example that you basically combine with Get Smart, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
James Bond and Inspector Clouseau.
Exactly. Agnes Moorehead, she won an Emmy on the Wild Wild West for playing one of the villains, and so you had a lot of...
Richard Pryor was in an...
He played
a ventriloquist.
He was in the first or second Victor Buono episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard Donner he was one of the regular directors on the Wild Wild West, and it was a show that he liked to direct because it kind of spoke to his creative sensibilities as a director, because the premise was so off the wall. You can do stuff and it would fit perfectly in that universe.
And speaking of universe, there were some premises that really pushed.
Yeah.
Again, like the Avengers were doing at that time.
I think near the end they had a UFO episode.
They did, yeah, which was explained.
Yes.
It was a hoax, but it was still... But to see a UFO...
In the 1870s...
And this is not
West.
Cowboys and Aliens.
No.
They made it look like it was a product of that time period, with a lot of copper and more ornate features on the outside, like somebody... This would have been if you went to a blacksmith in that time period, or just craftsmen at that time period. We need you to make an unidentified flying saucer.
Say what?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, imagine I don't think it had stained glass, but it had a lot of gold trim and features and ornamentations, like a lot of metal work would have been done at that time with a certain flair, a certain style. So it was beyond utilitarian. So it was a beautiful ship that they had. But it was, it was explained that it was all a hoax at the end.
And the great thing about the Wild Wild West is that every time you would have something that was so off the wall, you figure, okay, where does this fit in the Old West? You wouldn't have time to think about it, because at the drop of a hat, Jim West would get into a fist fight.
Yeah.
And because there was also...
Did Robert Conrad have, like, a fighting clause?
Well,
he was a very hostile individual. I mean, he couldn't sell a battery without threatening you.
Well, as I understand from our friend Sue Kessler, who wrote the definitive book on the Wild Wild West, it was Robert Conrad's show. So I think by design they made sure they got in about 2 or 3 action sequences, and Conrad was very close to a lot of the stunt people on that show, and he choreographed a lot of the fights, and he participated in, I mean, he participated about 90% of the fights. There were a couple of times they had to have a double for him, but, because he was a good athlete and because he thought it would be more authentic if he did it, because it was all very quickly cut. He did a lot of his own stunts, and so he probably broke about half the bones in his body every year. And at one time he did there was a sequence where he was supposed to leap from the balcony and swing on a chandelier, and either he missed the chandelier or he caught the chandelier and the chandelier was disconnected from the ceiling, and there goes Robert Conrad, and he was out for the rest of the day. But so there were a couple of mishaps behind the scene, but they got the shot.
Yeah, there was, some weird ones. They went into paintings and.
That was the beauty of the show.
Yeah.
You never. It was unexpected, and it was just so well done.
Yeah, they had one with the Incredible Shrinking Man, where where Loveless shrinks Jim West, and but again, it was fun. And of course, Ross Martin did all the get-ups, did all his disguises, and I understand he had a notepad for every episode, and he would pretty much design his own costumes, and then he did his own makeup from week to week to week. So.
And they did do a reunion movie in the early 80s.
They did two.
I knew of one, Return to the Wild West.
Right, where Paul Williams played
Miguelito Jr. Yeah,
Miguelito Jr.
And Shields and Yarnell were the.
They were, yes.
I think they were the 600. Yeah, he was the $600 man.
That's right, the $600 man. And then the second one, Jonathan Winters played. For some reason, I think his name was Paradigm, but he was the villain in the second one, and that one was played a little more for laughs than the first one. But I think it was designed as a pilot for a second series that never got off the ground.
And was Ross Martin in both of them? Because
Ross Martin was in both of them.
He was in both of them, and because he died shortly.
He died about a year after the second one was made.
Yeah, because he did a Mork and Mindy also, where he was a panhandler. And there was a joke where Mork looked into his wallet, because he was putting money in his wallet after panhandling, a very successful panhandler.
Yes.
And he said, "Oh, well, this wallet comes with a picture of Robert Conrad." But a wonderful role as the panhandler.
Yeah.
The more theatrical.
He was a great actor.
He was a great actor.
He did one of the best early episodes of Columbo.
Yes, he did.
Suitable for framing.
Yes, that's right.
With one of the best pops, as Bill Link would put it, Final Clues.
And Robert Conrad played.
That's right, Robert Conrad
was
played,
like a Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, he played Milo Janis. They did a little jingle.
They did a jingle, and the closing credits they played the jingle.
Janis.
Yeah, I remember that when that was on. Instead of playing the traditional theme, they just replayed the jingle.
Yeah.
But that was one Robert Conrad. Because Columbo had a certain respect for some of the villains, some of the murderers, and. Whatever their motives were for killing, it wasn't always, personal gain. Sometimes it was to get.
It was one of the few times that Columbo let the audience know that he didn't like this guy.
He did not like this guy. This was just.
It was a few times he broke character.
Yeah, he was. He was a greedy SOB.
Yes.
Yeah, he had an empire to protect, and he, because other times Columbo, it would be he was going to, Jose Ferrer keeping his son out of trouble, or, protecting the image, or protecting somebody else, some sort of legacy, or a reputation, or getting in over their head. But this was one, you just did not like this guy. But
and Conrad didn't like the fact that Conrad was 40 at the time he did that Columbo. He was asked to play a 52-year-old man. He didn't like playing a 52-year-old man.
But he was supposed
today,
to be
today, if he was asked to play a 52-year-old man,
I'm sure he would jump out.
Yeah. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.
Hi, guys and girls. This is Kathleen Bradley, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
And then, in the 70s, he also was selling batteries.
That's right. I dare you.
I dare you, yeah. And, boy, he got...
And also, and this will segue into our next one, in the 70s, he did a James Bond-type show for Quinn Martin.
A Man Called Sloan.
A Man Called Sloan.
I liked that one.
I do. It's vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it went 13 and out.
But I know the title.
Yes. Yes, that's probably the only thing people remember is the title.
Yeah, it was interesting because you did have some of the fantasy, some of the more fantastic elements as well.
But Quinn Martin doing Spy Show, that just didn't quite mix.
It did not mix, and it was a shame because it did have its element of fun and whimsy, and it was definitely a product of the time. And
J2 Kumbuka, I believe he played like a Richard Keel type character.
Yes, with a steel hand.
Yes.
Torque.
That's it. That was a great. I
just realized. Oh, torque means okay. That you would probably have to tune up his hand every.
Yes.
But he had a hand. It was kind of a very obvious bionic.
Yes.
Hand. And,
so yeah.
And you could replace the fingers with different tools.
Yeah.
And he was. He was one of the cool parts.
He was probably the only cool part of the show. And
just one of those presidents. He was kind of like what Hawk was to Spencer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's jump over. What would be our next one? Gosh, we have, like I said, there's so many milestones here.
Yes, and this being 2015, it's the 50th and 40th anniversary for a lot of classic TV shows. So we'll probably we won't get to all of them today.
We're gonna skip over. Well, 5 years ago, the show As the World Turns, a daytime drama, came to an end. Which is, lesser milestone, but still, this is...
So it would be As the World Stopped.
As the World Stopped, yeah.
As the World Stopped Turning.
Yes. And, actually, the closing shot was the world turning, that was like, Doctor leaves the office, and the globe, somehow there's a spotlight on his globe, and it's spinning.
Well, if the world stopped spinning, that would be a disturbing
That
image.
would be very disturbing.
Yeah.
It would... destroy the entire space-time continuum. Let's go to September 18th, 1955. The popular show Toast of the Town changed its name to Ed Sullivan.
Ed Sullivan!
Yes. And we all remember Bye Bye Birdie.
That's
yes,
right.
I think that was probably Ed Sullivan's best work, playing himself. That was... only Ed Sullivan could play Ed Sullivan like that.
Although Will Jordan had a nice career mimicking Ed Sullivan.
He did, but that was to see, but also to see that if you were not around when the Ed Sullivan Show was on, that staple of Sunday night, if you saw Bye Bye Birdie and that number, that choir singing praise to Ed Sullivan, I mean, he was that big of a deal to a lot of people.
No, he was the original must-see TV in the late 40s and early 50s.
And so many careers got started from Ed Sullivan. Yeah. And now
Gene Rainbourne, he didn't appear in the movie, but he was in the Broadway version of Bye Bye Birdie.
So who played Ed?
I don't think he played Ed. I don't remember which character. I just know that he was in the Broadway. He was in the stage version, and Charles Nelson Riley was his understudy.
Oh, yeah. So
and that is how Charles Nelson Riley ended up doing the Match Game.
Aha. Okay, that's the connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a thread.
There is a
There's
thread.
always
it's
a thread. It's just
all
not always
connected.
obvious,
They all
yes.
link.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.